are really in a critical moment right now. Tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate after a leader of Hamas and a leader of Hezbollah were both killed within the past 2 weeks. Now the world is waiting to see how Iran is going to respond. So can you talk about the moment we're in right now?
Sure. Well, this is a moment brought to you by multiple cycles of violence and escalation in the region. But make no mistake, since October 7th, the Islamic Republic of Iran has been orchestrating something of a multi-front war against Israel and being able to really orchestrate that multi-front conflict essentially on the cheap or nearly for free. Right now, we're in a historic moment because we're about to see potentially the second overt, direct, and kinetic use of force by the Islamic Republic against Israel. Earlier during this conflict, on April 13th, April 14th, Iran launched a gigantic barrage of cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and one-way attack drones at Israel in response to an attack, killing several of its uniformed service persons in Damascus, Syria, in a building that they alleged was the consulate. Israel responded militarily, but did not publicly claim the attack. And I think the Islamic Republic, having had a member of the Axis of Resistance, Ismail Haniyeh, the political chief of its Hamas, recently killed on Iranian territory, reeling from embarrassment, is looking to do essentially what the Iranian hardline media has been saying, which is to engage in bloodlust. And in essence, now we're in a moment of when another overt, direct, and kinetic attack from Iran is going to be a matter of when and not if.
I know you're saying it's going to be a matter of when and not if, but is there any indication of what that response would look like? We remember the drone attack back in April. Would it look like that? Would it be escalatory from April to now? I mean, tell us what we know.
There's a couple different ways the Iranians could change this. One is volume. They could simply fire more. Another is quantity. They could fire more capable systems. For example, of the three different types of ballistic missiles they fired, there were about 100 ballistic missiles fired. About 50% of them failed before launch or before even arriving at the target. So they weren't even intercepted. They may be able to fire a more militarily capable projectile, or one that requires less preparation time for launch, one with greater military utility, one that could potentially evade some radars, as they allege. So there's a whole universe of different munitions that the regime could use as well. But paying attention to how the Iranian media has been talking about this, you're likely to see a layered attack, and not just layered directly from Iran, but layered from different proxy forces that the regime has either created or co-opted in this region. And what has been said in the Iranian media is that there's the potential for a 360-degree attack, meaning an attack from the north of Israel or from the south of Israel at the same time, or from the east and the west at the same time. And what the regime is looking to do here is either from its own territory or from the territory of its proxies to really be able to try to penetrate that integrated air and missile defense architecture that both Israel has, as well as that which the U.S. has been able to bring to bear. So the regime could change the type of weapon, the number of weapon, the layered nature of the attack, as well as the jurisdiction they're launched from.
Would a 360-degree attack mean that there would be a full-scale Middle East war? I know there are concerns of that, but do you think that those concerns are valid?
I really do believe those concerns are valid. This is not the talk of a wider war that we heard in October or November of last year. This is essentially the Islamic Republic being buoyed to move out from the shadows and enter really this public overt area and flex its muscles. So in a sense, when they're promising more proxy attacks, they mean it. You've had, for instance, the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen fire a drone, an Iranian-made drone, 2,600 kilometers, the longest flight time, or the longest flight record for an Iranian drone in history thus far, attack Israel from the west. So basically be able to target Tel Aviv recently by coming over the Mediterranean and going at civilians in Tel Aviv, basically by flying over a beach. You've had children killed in northern Israel simply by artillery fire from Lebanese Hezbollah. So there is the track record there for real damage done that, when responded to, significantly raises the chances of a wider war. And enter into this destabilizing but dynamic situation the U.S. force architecture. The U.S. has moved at least 4,000 additional forces, different squadrons of fighters, move to bolster the U.S. force presence with the carrier, and as you know now, most recently, a nuclear-powered submarine that had Tomahawk cruise missiles as well. All of this stuff is headed to the region or is in the region as we speak, and all of this is designed to play a deterrent role for the Iranians. But if you're the Islamic Republic, you may be banking on Washington not punishing the regime, but merely trying to create an architecture that denies the regime or intercepts the regime's projectiles rather than responding after an attack occurs.